John Axon was a railwayman, to steam trains born and bred. He was an engine driver at Edgeley Loco shed. For 40 years he followed and served the iron way. He lost his life upon the track one February day.
Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation, 10th of July, 1957. Sir, I have the honour to report the result of my inquiry into the collision which occurred on Saturday, the 9th of February, 1957. When the 11:05 a.m. freight train from Buxton to Arpley got out of control as it was descending a steep incline on the down line, and overtook and collided violently with the rear of the 8:45 a.m. freight train from Roseley to Edgeley. I regret to report that driver Axon and the guard of the Roseley freight train were killed. We present The Ballad of John Axon, the real-life story of a railwayman told by the men who knew him and worked with him, and set into song by Ewan MacColl.
The year was 1957, the morning bright and gay. On the 9th of February, John Axon drove away in a Class 8 locomotive. From Buxton he did go. On the road to Chapel on Frith, his steam brake pipe did blow.
It's a 7-mile drop from Billington Top, oh Johnny. It's 1 in 58 and you've no steam brake, oh Johnny. She's picking up speed and the power is free. It's a prayer you need, but you'll never make it, Johnny. It's hell on the plate, it's a funeral freight, oh Johnny. It's the end of a dream in steel and steam, oh Johnny. There's a world in your head and you do it the shed, and there's life ahead, but you'll never see it, Johnny.
It was 4 a.m. that Saturday, John Axon left his bed. At 5 he drew his time card at Edgeley Loco shed. Just after 6 round Scanlon, his fireman cried away. It was a day no different from any other day.
It was still dark when I got to the shed that Saturday morning. Jack was waiting there. "Come on, Ron," he said, "we want to get finished." Let me see, you're never early at that time in the morning. It's bad enough having to get there at the right time. And as I walked in the driver's lobby, there were a lot of choice comments going on around about the weather.
Morning, Ernest. Very rough. Yes, 156, please, Johnny. Thank you. Too rough. What engine have we got?
5188.
All ready. Right. Come on. So we better go.
Come on, let's go and get ready. I'm in a mood this morning. Oh dear. Come on, wife's comfortable.
The iron road is a hard road and the work is never ending. Working night and day on the iron way, we're the boys who keep the engines rolling.
Engine driver's got to be in the blood for a start. If it's not in your blood to stand the erratic hours, you'll never stand the pace. You see, as a young lad at 15 years of age, you're prepared for all this. And the railway life, to my mind, to the proper railwayman, it always comes first. Well, I started when I was just turned 14 when I started. You just went to your work with your chuck under your arm, and that was that. You were brought up to it. And that's why today you'll get the proper driver. He thinks nothing of going to London and booking off because railways, it's in his blood.
The old railwayman, it was a tradition. It was part of your life. It went through, railways went through the back of your spine like Blackpool went through rock.
You sign on at the Loco shed, they put you to the cleaning. In your dungarees, cleaning super D's, you're a
Sweeper up, a brewer up, a shovel, slinger, spanner, bring a steam, raise a fire, drop a general, cook and bottle washer, learning how to keep 'em rolling.
Hey, lad, will you fetch me a bucket of red oil for a red tail lamp?
Charlie!
Hey, Charlie!
On your toes! Clean that muck out of number 5.
Look alive there.
Get weaving.
Where have you been for that oil? Arabia?
See the job on number 3. They got a stripper.
Ginger!
Leave the job you're working on. Help the fitter. Hold the light. Pass the wrench. The 1-inch spanner off the bench. The 1-inch ream up.
Hey, cleaner!
Do this, do that, get me this, get me that. Rush job on number 8, working late, got a date. I'll never make it.
You'll have to break it.
Just a bloody skivvy, that's me.
2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of clean-up.
When the work interferes with the girls, well, you give up the work, you see. Oh, you.
Well, I started on the railway when I was 15, and I was 32 before I was made a registered book fireman.
When you've done your time at the Loco shed and had your share of trouble on the old footplate, you're the driver's mate and you're married to a lousy shovel.
Come on, let's have a little bit of action here. Come on, I have to get up in the morning, not same as you resting all night. 81, 88. All tools. Never mind myself, I'm in good condition. Not been resting all night.
No. I get out.
Bottle of oil. I'll bring the other one when I've used this.
Yeah.
That alright?
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you feel?
Oh,
Very well, you look it and all. Okay.
It's check the water, check the tools, and chuck the bloomin' coal in. Give the gauge a wipe, check injector pipe, now it's
Swing your shovel at the double, give a rock. Watch the clock, steam raising sweat, running back, aching bones, shaking fireman, keep her rolling.
You know, when I first started firing, we had what they called the old well tender. You had to shovel the coal right off the level of the footplate. And it were real hard work because you had to range down with your back to get hold of your coal, to get it into the firebox. But then they brought married man's tender out. Oh, and wasn't that a dream? You hadn't got bend as far. You could just shovel coal and into the firebox it went. And by gad, all married men took another lease on life.
You bend your back almost double. Feed that coal-hungry fire, swing that shovel, that's a fireman's trade. You've got your long-handled shovel, 3.5 feet of sweat-polished wood, and another steel blade. Swing your long-handled shovel, hear that shovel ring. Swing your steel-bladed shovel, hear that fire sing. Give us some rock, a round at a time. Fire to your signal along the line. Put your weight behind your shovel, from your middle swing. Swing your steel-bladed shovel, from your shoulder swing. One at the front, one at the back, one at each side, and that's the knack. Sweat on your back, sweat in your eyes, feed the fire, the steam will rise. Bend and thrust, bend and turn, there's 9 tons of coal to burn. Breathing steam, swallowing coal, brace your legs to take the roll.
Now, fireman, come on, she's lagging. Get some rock on.
You've got your long-handled shovel, then make it ring. Take your steel-bladed shovel on the tender ring. Sweating it out 8 hours a day, earning your keep on the iron way.
You know, drivers are not all the same. Some can make it hard for a fireman, some can make it easy. But John Axon was one of those that made it very easy for a fireman. I mean, he was always ready for a joke, and, well, it made the day seem short while you were at work. He was a grand chap.
When you've shoveled 1,000,000 tons of coal some 10 or 12 years later, and your only dream is of raising steam, then they hand to you your driver's paper.
Hello. What time you brought seat, please?
Give me a 71 card, please.
71.
Very much.
I was 21 years on the footplate before I was passed as a driver. I went out for the first time in 1920, and after 21 years, I was passed as a driver. And I always remember this, that the old driver that I fired for used to tell me, wait till you get to be a driver and you'll find out that you go home more tired than you did as a fireman. And I never used to believe him, but it's true.
You're on your own, mate, king of the footplate. You've got a load, mate, watch the road, mate. Get her through, mate, it's up to you, mate.
She's a Class 8 engine, she's as tough as they come. Weighs well over 100 tons.
She's a pull-up, an iron horse. You've got 9 tons of coal, you've got 4,000 gallons of water.
You've got to measure, her boiler pressure is 225 pounds an inch.
You've got a snodder.
In the old days, that engine was his life. It was his child. You had some, they had all different bloody ideas. Yellow fat for to keep them from running hot, and you had some with the thick dick plastering it down the axle boxes, and they all had their own little ideas, but he maintained he was keeping that engine on the road by hook or by crook, because
I mean, the whole life was round the engine.
It doesn't matter where you come from, what colour you are, what religion, anything. It doesn't make any difference. If you've got that feeling that you want to be a driver, if you've got it in your blood, you'll make a railwayman. You see, there's one thing about railway work, especially footplate work. You must have a leaning for that job. I've had a West Indian fireman with me on long-distance trains, and he's been as good a fireman as I've ever had on the job. He definitely has it in his blood, and he comes from Jamaica.
You give her water, you give her coal, hand on the regulator, watch her roll. Mama, I swear as long as I live, going to serve me steam locomotive. Dirty tunnels, blinding smoke, cover your head, mate, or else you choke. Mama, me heart and me soul I give, going to serve me steam locomotive. Got me paddle iron, that's a 10-foot spoon. Got me pricker and me dart like a long harpoon. Mama, I tell you positive, going to serve me steam locomotive.
You gotta watch the line and get her there in time and keep her rolling. Keep your hand on the brake, she's a monster mate that you're controlling.
You can sing the praises of the aviators, rocket pilots and ocean navigators, Arctic explorers and deep-sea divers, but me, I sing of the engine drivers. Mama, listen to me narrative, going to serve me steam locomotive.
What a feeling you have when you get off the ship. You've got the engine, you've got the control of it. And what a feeling. I'm cock of the bonk. There's nobody can take a rise out of me now. She's mine. Come on, me old beauty. And off we go. The moon's out. On the countryside, it's lovely. Look at that hill over there with the moon shining on it and the trees and the valley. It's beautiful. On we go. What a feeling. She answers to every touch. Some more rock on, lad. Yes, it's grand. Oh, look. They lit up in the mill across the way. Somebody else is working on nights besides us. Hey, look there. Sun's coming over the hills. And what a sight. England at dawn. It's been worth losing a night's sleep for, this has, if only the people of England could see it. England. England. And there's nowhere like it at dawn.
Hello, Bobby. Yeah? 8188, Light to Adwood, 611 Buxton. Right? Right on, eh? Well, here we go again.
hard road and the work is never ending. Working night and day on the iron way with a
Local drivers, early risers, lodging turners, mile burners, 11 quid a week earners. We're the boys who keep 'em rolling.
The rain was gently falling when they started down the line. And on the way to Buxton, the sun began to shine. But the steam brake pipe was leaking, and a wisp of steam did rise. The fireman, he reported this when in Buxton they arrived.
When we left Edgeley, it was raining cats and dogs. But on the way up, it cleared beautiful. By the time we got to Buxton, it was like a spring morning. The sun was shining under a cloud in the sky. And you get a keenness up there, would have been very high up. And with the sun shining, it made you feel real good. By the time we'd finished our engine duties on the ash pit and that, cleaned the fire and coaled and watered it, and turned ready for the journey back, we got settled on a shed road, and Jack made the repair card out for the brake steam pipe. So I got this card, took it to the charge arm fitter, and then I went to get the can of tea. When I arrived back, the fitter was just sending his mate for an 1.5-inch spanner to tighten this union nut to the brake disc. And after they'd done the job, we started chatting about what we was going to do when we got finished. I was going to watch Stockport County. They was playing at home. And Jack, he was going having a couple of hours in bed. We'd been up since 4 o'clock that morning, because he was going to a big dinner at the Alma Lodge that evening. Jack kept himself very young with his social life. He liked a lot of dancing and parties. Other chaps, they like to football and play golf, garden, and as we don't get many Saturday afternoons off, when we do get one, we really like to enjoy it.
Come all you British loco men who travel the iron way. There's a long weekend and money to spend, it's time to draw your pay. You've done your 80 fortnight and now it's time for play. So off with your dirty dungarees, your time is yours today.
We'll give her some rock and we'll beat the clock and send her on her way. For every train is an express train upon a Saturday.
The missus is standing at the door, your dinner is on the hob. So bung your driver's ticket in, forget all about the job. Get dolled up in your Saturday best, the match will be starting soon. So hurry up, mate, and don't be late, it's Saturday afternoon.
We'll give her some rock and we'll beat the clock and send her on her way. For every train is an express train upon a Saturday.
There's some that's fond of gardening and some that like a Jill. And some of the lads, they play the pools and sometimes make a kill. Some like a potato pie supper and an extra hour in bed. But everyone likes the moment when he signs off at the shed.
We'll give her some rock and we'll beat the clock and send her on her way. for every train is an express train upon a Saturday.
So come all you gallant loco men, steam and diesel too. You lads who serve the iron road, let's drink a glass or two. And join me in the chorus, all you who like a tune. The railwayman's friend is the long weekend and Saturday afternoon.
So long to the driver's lobby, so long the controller's room. For while we're here we can't be there on Saturday afternoon.
I opened the cab roof, I was breakfasting comfort, and the fitter, when he came on the footplate, he said, "What a beautiful morning, isn't it grand to be alive?" And Jack said, "Shh, shh, shh, it's not finished yet." After we'd had us breakfast, we came off the shed in good time, so we could get our train ready, and if the Rosalie Edgley was late, we could take his path in front of him and get finished an hour earlier. But this Edgley man was on time, and he passed us like waving us. The guard, Fred Creamer, he said, "We're Curly again this morning," and that was the guard that we ate. You see, and we'd had him working up with us all week. Then we had to wait while the Rosalie Edgley got to the top of the bank and cleared Bevington's. Then we received the right-of-way signal, and away we went.
The repair was done and the train made up when they left them Buxton sidings, and the time was just 11:05 and the sun it was a-shining. Poor 8188 was the number, Scanlon was the fireman, and the guard in the van was Alfred Ball, and the driver was John Axon. Her wagon's numbered 33 and the 20-ton rear brake van. She was carrying coke, wood, pulp and coal and fire bricks and pig iron. Then down line out of Buxton climbs she was pulling nice and steady, and the bank engine was pushing behind and the guard's brake stick was ready.
Normally, when we're approaching the top of the bank, we slow down and automatically come to a stop, and the guard comes up and pins so many brakes down on the wagons to assist us going down the incline.
John Axon looked at the rolling hills and he found them to his liking, and he thought of his early courting days, the days when he went hiking.
Oh yes, Jack and I were keen on rambling. In fact, that was how we met. I lived at Stretford, Jack lived at Stockport. I used to get the train at Manchester and he used to join it at Stockport, go to Edale and hike. Sometimes we went moonlight rambles. Well, first ramble that I ever went, I went with 3 friends, and we were going to Castleton. Anyhow, we got lost, so we decided that we'd go back from Edale. We got to Edale, we found that the last train had gone, so we didn't know what to do, and then we saw 2 young men coming along and said, "You've missed the last train, haven't you?" So, because we said yes. So what are you going to do now? So we said, "We don't know." So, well, you better come to the Edale Hotel. So, of course, we stayed there till we got a car from Sheffield and landed back in Manchester about 4 o'clock in the morning. That was the first time that I met Jack. that day. Of course, we arranged to go another ramble with them, and after that we went several rambles with them. That was how it started, really.
Slave on Monday, but I am a free man on Sunday. I've been over Snowdon, I've slept upon Crowdon, I've camped by the Wainstones as well. I've sunbathed on Kinder, been burnt to a cinder, and many more things I can tell. Me rucksack has oft been me pillow, the heather has oft been me bed, and sooner than part from the mountains, I think I would rather be dead. I'm a rambler from Manchester way. I get all me pleasure the Hogmoreland way. I may be a wage slave on Monday, but I am a free man on Sunday. I once loved a maid, a spot welder by trade. She was fair as the rowan in bloom, and the blue in her eyes matched the blue mullen skies, and I wooed her from April till June. On the day that we should have been married, I went for a ramble instead, for sooner than part from the mountains, I think I would rather be dead. I'm a rambler from Manchester way. I get all me pleasure the Hogmoreland way. I may be a wage slave on Monday, but I am a free man on Sunday.
We used to have some lovely times, Jack and I, rambling. Winter and summer, and didn't matter whether it was raining. We used to go every Sunday, because sometimes, of course, he worked Saturdays, but it was every Sunday we went. We made a lot of friends with being members of the Manchester Federation. We met many of their members on our walks. And Jack, he liked walking a long way, seeing how far he could go. I would rather not go so far, but we used to go some very long rambles. We'd been over Kinder. He took a party over Kinder. Most of our walks were around Edale and Hope and Castleton. We used to go through the Winnets and Cavedale, Mamtor, all those spots. But we always finished at Castleton, came back from Hope. Wherever we hiked, we always came back from Hope.
John Axon smiled at the thought that later he'd be celebrating, and he smiled when he thought of the Stockport pub where a pint of mild was waiting. John Axon was a dancing man, on his pins he was light and nimble, and often he'd stand on the old footplate, whistling an old-time jingle.
Kept himself young with his social activities, like this dancing and parties, and always had a little bit of a song like on the footplate. A very nice chap indeed to work for.
Like going to parties and dancing. We used to love the music, and he was always whistling the tunes. Wasn't really very interested in dancing at first, but I've always liked dancing, so he thought he'd try, and he really enjoyed it. But of course, railwaymen can't go every week. They have to just go when the turns permit them to go. And he was always talking about trains, and of course my boys used to say, why don't you shut the shed door now you've come away? But he really loved trains.
Come all you young maidens, take a warning from me. Shun all engine drivers and their company. They'll tell you they love you and all kinds of lies, but the one that he loves is the train that he drives. I once loved a fireman and he said he loved me. He took me out walking into the country. He hugged me and kissed me and gazed in my eyes and said, you're as nice as the 845. He said, my dear Molly, oh, won't you be mine? Just give me the signal and let's clear the line. My fires, they are burning, me steam, it is high. If you don't take the brake off, I think I shall die. I told him, young fellow, now don't make so free, for no loco fireman shall ever have me. He'll hug you and kiss you, and when you're in need, he races away at the top of his speed. A sailor comes home when the voyage is done. A soldier gets weary of following the drum. A collier will cleave to his loved one for life, but the fireman's one love is the engine, his wife.
Jack, a very methodical person, made little diagrams of all the work that was in the links and all that sort of thing. Everything went in his little book. Everything was recorded that he had, that he did.
John Axon kept a little book, and in it there was written the class, the type, and the number of every engine he had driven.
Express steamer. 44758.
What was number?
44748. Steam train, what's your number, what's your name? Collecting trains, a fine game, I've got more than you.
Waiting for the Orkney train on the road to Cheadle. Saw the local passing by, pop goes the diesel.
Stink, not why not? Like the puppy billies. Two diesels. Of course. The skagged up diesels.
I've got the Comet, I've got the Lancastrian, I've got the Prince of Wales, my dad's a railwayman. Steam train, there goes the Super D, write the name and number down for 0193. Steam train, racing down the line, 30 wagons full of golden line, class 8, never late, she'll arrive on time, 48188, pulling a load of freight, steam train on the line. Rattle, crash, watch the comet pass, like a rocket flash, that's the train for London.
Blackpool, Lady Cadaver. Blackpool? Yeah, you got that. Southport. Fleetwood. Oh, God. Blackpool to Manchester. Oh, no. London to Manchester, something like that. Birmingham to Manchester. What's the special? What, this? A 9,000.
Chuggy, like a little bug crawling on a rug. That's a shunting bogie. Class A's an express passenger train, B's an ordinary passenger train, C's an express once again, just for carrying parcels. E and F are freight we know, H is freight that travels slow, K's a local train that goes between the local stations.
Well, stop glass fire. What's this for? It's a diesel. 3 diesels on the road. Yeah, diesel for a bucket. Semi! It came through last night. I've seen it twice now. The Lancaster.
Steam train, carry me away with you. Steam train,
steam train, going to be a driver. Gonna be a driver.
I don't know whether it was in my blood or not, because I remember when I was quite a bit of a kid, I used to go on the Iron Bridge there watching them until... Because I was lucky, you see, in them days, they only used to have a couple of lads at 14 in the shed.
The joint of the driver's steam brake pipe begun to sweat a little. By the time they were halfway up the hill, it was coming in a steady trickle.
As we were climbing up the bank, again this faint wisp of steam came from the union nut joint. So we bound it with a couple of rags. We was going again, got about halfway up the bank, and then it came up in a spiral, and we both came across having a loop like.
Under the large ejector steam valve, there's a length of 1 1/8 piping. It connects with a driver's brake valve. The connecting point is a joint of brass. A 1 1/8 steam pipe fixed in a threaded joint rests on asbestos packing and is sealed with brazing metal. A 125 tons of engine, 650 tons behind, and the boiler pressure to 25 pounds per square inch. And the men, two fragile bodies, flesh and blood and brittle bone, carbon and water, nerves and dreams. Power from coal, power from water, power imprisoned in a 1 1/8 pipe. The restless steam watches the tired metal, explores the worn thread, watching every turn of the 4-foot wheels, every lunge of the smooth arm piston, every thrust in the two great cylinders weakens the joint's resistance, and the brazed flange crumbles. The pipe is parted. It blows.
I was too shocked really, just for a few seconds, and then the realisation came what had happened, that the brake pipe had gone. Condition on the footplate, oh, it was horrible. You only had to put your face in it to let it feel like a running.
The engine had reached the distant signal when the broken steam pipe began to scream. John Axon and his mate couldn't reach the driver's brake, for the cab was full of scalding steam. Poor boys, the cab was full of scalding steam. John John Axon, he knew that his regulator was still wide open and on full power. He couldn't turn it off for the way that it was blocked, and the cab was full of scalding steam, poor boys. The cab was full of scalding steam. They hung on the side and they both took turns at shifting the regulator from afar. They prodded at the bar with the pricker and the dart, but they couldn't move the iron bar, brave boys. They couldn't move the iron bar.
Well, hanging outside of the cab on the fireman's side. It was only a matter of seconds. You could be on the footplate at all, and they put coats over our heads to try and get to the red laser. That was the main thing, to shut that, because we'd steam going on, and we'd no brake ourselves, and we're being pushed by an engine behind, and we're approaching the top then. Well, I got a fire iron out of the alcove at the side there, and tried to knock it down, but it was only a short red later, and it was in second red later, so it had to come right over and back again to shut. If it had been first port, we could have knocked it down and it would have automatically shut. With it being in second red later, it was no use, it was an impossibility.
John Axon, he got to the fireman's side, and over the scream of the steam did say, we'll have to get outside if we want to stay alive, or this'll be our dying day, poor boys, or this'll be our dying day. The guard, he was waiting to pin down the brakes. The train, it didn't slow down that day. He stood in the van with the brake stick in his hand, and he knew she was a runaway, poor boy. He knew she was a runaway.
I'm watching him go over the top. We've left the banker. He's gone over the top more than what he should do. This man's failing to stop. We're still going. There's something wrong on engine. On goes the brake.
John Axon, he cried to his fireman, jump. It is the only thing you can do, while I hang on the side and I'll take a little ride, for I've got to see the journey through, brave boy. I've got to see the journey through.
Jack realised the position was hopeless. Was still steaming up the bank and gathering speed. And he ordered me to jump, to try and get some wagon brakes down, and to draw the guard's attention to put his brake on as hard as he could. I jumped, and I stumbled a bit on the ballast, picked myself up, grabbed the brakes as the wagons was passing to drop them, but it was an impossibility to pin them. I got about 6 or 7 down, but it was no use, they were only bouncing off. And then, of course, the train's going away from me, and the guard's coming towards me, so I chased back to the guard, shouting to him, "Alf, put the brake on, we're away."
John Axon, he was all alone, there on the engine side. The train, it reached the hilltop and began the downhill ride. The sun, it was still shining, the sky was still as blue. He gambled with his life that day, and this John Axon knew.
After the guard's van passed me, I looked round again and saw it disappearing over the hill.
You're on your own, mate, king of the footplate.
Ooh, Johnny, ooh, me Johnny, what makes you do the things you do, me Johnny? Oh, why do you have to see it through, me Johnny? Ooh, ooh, Johnny.
It's a 7-mile drop from Bivington top, oh Johnny. It's 1 in 58 and you've no steam brake, oh Johnny. She's picking up speed and the power is free. It's a prayer you need, but you'll never make it, Johnny. Every yard of the track says you won't come back, oh Johnny. She's a fist of steel, every turn of the wheels cry Johnny. There isn't a chance she'll get to your dance, you can see at a glance that she'll never make it, Johnny. There's a tunnel ahead, you can't cover your head, oh Johnny. Doing 60 an hour and she's gaining power, oh Johnny. Watch out for the wall, bunch yourself up small in the smoky pool, or you'll never make it, Johnny. It's a funeral plate, it's a funeral freight, oh Johnny. It's the end of a dream in steel and steam, oh Johnny. There's a world in your head and you're due to share, and there's life ahead, but you'll never see it, Johnny.
Now, run's gone, on me own now, all the way, all the way. If I make it, how far's all the way? There's a gradient all the way into Whaley, 7-mile gradient. 1 in 70, 1 in 60, 1 in 58. Wait! Duffels past. Going too fast to see if they saw me hanging outside the cab. Down the curving line, through the hill of limestone, heave tunnel! Every turn of the 4-foot wheels, every lunge of the smooth-armed piston, every thrust of the 2 great cylinders sings of a man's destruction. Was I born for this? To hang like a fly on an iron wall, helpless on a moving wall, to die, to end in a welter of blood and oil, twisted metal, splintered bone. What was it that Jim said one day in the shed? Jim said, or was it in the pub? What was it that Jim said about steam, about power?
With a steam locomotive, you create the power, you maintain the power, and you control the power.
Pressure, the burning coal that made it, the fire and the air which fed it, curse the water which boiled and turned to steam. Curse the steam brake and the nut which connects with the steam brake pipe. Curse the brass of the steam brake valve. Curse the nut of the steam brake valve. Curse the steam. Finished, the shift's nearly ended. A man is a man, he must do what he can for his brothers. By his deeds you shall know him,
by the work of his hands,
by the friends who will mourn him,
by the love that he bore,
by the gift of his courage,
and the life that he gave.
On the 3rd of May, 1957, Mrs. Gladys Axon received the following letter. 10 Downing Street, Whitehall, 2nd of May, 1957. Madam, I have the honour to inform you that the Queen has been graciously pleased to approve the Prime Minister's recommendation that the George Cross be awarded posthumously to your husband, John Axon.
John Axon was a railwayman, to steam trains born and bred. He was an engine driver at Edgeley Loco shed. He was a man of courage and served the iron way. He gave his life upon the track one February day.
The Ballad of John Axon was the work of Ewan MacColl and Charles Parker. The lyrics were written by Ewan MacColl, who also, with the exception of 2 songs set to traditional airs, composed the music and himself sang the part of narrator. The instrumental arranging and musical direction was by Peggy Seeger, who also played the banjo. The vocalists were A.L. Lloyd, Isla Cameron, Stan Kelly, Dick Lovelace, Charles Mayo, and Colin Dunn. And the instrumentalists were Jim Bray, bass, Terry Brown, trumpet, Bob Clark, fiddle, John Cole, harmonica, Fitzroy Coleman, guitar, who also sang the West Indian Fireman Calypso, Brian Daly, guitar, Alf Edwards, English concertina, Billy Locke, drums, Bobby Mickleborough, trombone, and Bruce Turner, clarinet.